In this video, I'll be talking about how to choose the right colors on Figma. The idea behind this is when we work as designers, we're building projects, we're trying to define the color that will be used in the project. There are some things to consider. And one popular or one major change you can make is switching from using the HEX color coding to HSL color coding. Let's dive into it. So to choose the right colors. So first of all, why do we need to do this? Why is it important that we be that we take proper account when we're trying to make designs, when we're trying to choose the right colors for our project? First of all, the concept of HSL, hue, saturation, lightness, it is easier to think through. Hue talks about what color family it is. Then the saturation is how intense or how muted it is. And then the lightness is how light or dark it is. So, and this basically makes it possible in a way that, you can choose like the intensity of the color, or most importantly, how light or how dark the color would look like. And going further, for example, we can keep the color the same and then make it darker or lighter, or we could increase or reduce its intensity, or we could also use the same hue across the color scale. So why do we need to use HSL? First of all, it is better for building out color systems, especially when you want to create a design system where you have a variance of colors in different formats, for example, primary, secondary, tertiary, and the rest. And it also allows you to set like different states, the hover state, the press state, the disable state, and then also to be able to smoothly define the light and dark mode variance of the color. And another advantage of having the HSL is that it supports consistency across states. So, like for example, the hover state of a button should still look similar to its default state, maybe same color but slightly darker. And then the same cuts across things like borders, color fields, brand color, background tints, background banner colors, and badge colors, and all the colors that you work with on your design system. And another important point here is that it helps with collaboration with engineers. When working with design tokens, when you are defining a design system and CSS workflows, you have to like define these colors. And when you define these colors properly, it then helps you to be able to manage them, and also help to like when you're defining the design system, it now helps you to be able to define them properly and of course make updates to it easily. So now let's dive right into it. So how does this work on Figma? So let's say if I open, let's say I'm just working on something here, and then on the right here we have a field, yeah, just any random colors. And by default on Figma, we have it on HEX. But the idea here is that we change it to HSL. The good thing with HSL, like we said, like we said earlier, there's hue. What color is it? Saturation, which is like the intensity of the color, and then lightness. So with this lightness is when we define how light or dark this color looks like. So let's say, for example, the hue. If I change the color, you notice the hue changes. The hue changes, and I could, yeah. But if, of course, if I switch, the rest of the things, the rest of the values change. But when we keep it the same, when I change the color, the hue changes. So let's say I pick a color here, red. Mm. So let's say I pick red. If I increase the saturation, we see how it switches from really bright red to really dark red. Oh, sorry, it has to stick to the red. Yes. So, yes, really bright red and then really dark red. Yeah, but key thing that we're looking out for here is the lightness. So this lightness helps us to define the lightness or how light or how dark the color would look like. So let's say if we use 90, what do we see? It's very, very light. And let's come back here. And let's say if I use 10, what do we have? It is very pitch dark. So the good thing here is that you could use this to define how light or how dark you want the colors to be before you add it as part of the design system. So let's see here. Let's say I duplicate this. Let me duplicate them. So let's say I have different bands, and then the dark band here is 10, and then the next one I can make it 20. The next one I make it 30. The next one I make it 40. The next one I make it 50. The next one I make it 60. And up until we get to, well, whatever you're comfortable with. 80. So this is how you're able to get different light. This is how you're able to get the lighter shades and darker shades of this color. Now I did this manually, but of course you could do it with AI. You could just write into AI, oh, I have this color. I have this color as my base color, and I want to generate the entire color schemes based on HSL, and then it would give you the generations, and then you can copy that and bring that into Figma. Yeah, of course, there's also other things you can do. There's also tools, websites you could also use to work with colors. Let's look at them now. First of all, let's see what we have here is Paleton. This is one of my favorite websites for getting colors. This is one of my favorite websites for getting colors and color inspirations. And most importantly, we have some tuners here that you could use to tune the color to the version that you want. So for example, here you can switch the different shades of the color, or you could toggle here on this wheel to the shade of the color you want. And then they have this thing here, which is it, it helps you to set adjacent colors. So this allows you to pick different shades of color that go together from the color wheel, or you could add complementary, and now you have complementary colors. From the color wheel, you can then choose and figure out the version that you want. Oh, we have triad. We have three circles on the wheels that are moving around the color wheel, and this allows you to choose and blend, mix and match what color choice that you want. And then the last one is the tetrad. Here we have four circles on the same wheel, and then you can choose the color combination you want. And most importantly here, we have different colors, the lighter shades, the darker shades, and the base color. So I could decide to, let's say I copy, if I click, I could copy this. So we have the HSL version, but I would copy this and first bring it into Figma, and then from there I can switch it to HSL. So let's see, I copy this here, and then I come back here and make sure that it is set on HSL. Okay, so back to the browser here. That's another platform that I also love working with is Radix. Go to radixui.com/colors. Basically, what we have here is a library of colors that have been predefined, and this also works together with ShadCN or Tailwind CSS. So from here, you can then pick the kind of color you want and then let it fly from there. And then lastly, we have color space. My color dot space. And here, basically, you can put in your color code. It allows you to put in your color code, and then you can generate different versions of color that suit your primary color. And then out of this, you can then use this to define your color system for the designs for your design system. Yeah, it has different color, it just offers you different color combinations that you can work with. Okay, so back to Figma. So let's say we have defined the color that we want. I want to show there's this plugin that you can use to make life easy for you as well. It's called Foundation Color Generator. So it has a lot of profiles, albeit Alicia, but material. Let's choose material to be on the safe side. So I paste in the color, and here the base color, which is green 500. This is why it is marked out. And I choose RGB, and then I click on create styles. Then it generates the styles for me to work with. So if I click on, yep, so if you check on the right, it has generated the color styles for me right here. Let's say if I click on tokens, I can copy the tokens and then take it to my tokens JSON file. Or if I click on palette, it generates the palette directly on the yeah, on the canvas. And here I can now pick it up from here and continue working with it. And it generates the color for me in HEX and then in RGB. Yeah. So, but of course, we can always tweak this using the HSL, to really tune it to the way that we want. Okay, thank you for listening. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and bye.